children, come and sit me around me as I tell you a story before your mother says it's time for bed.
Yes, Papa. Come on, guys. Papa's going to tell us a story. Can you tell us the story of Rapunzel?
Ah, Rapunzel, a magnificent choice. Let's begin, shall we? This story begins as most do. Once upon a time. There was once a man and a woman who had long, in vain, wished for a child. At length it appeared that fate was about to grant their desire. These people had a little window in the back of their house, from which a splendid garden could be seen, which is full of the most beautiful flowers and herbs. It was, however, surrounded by a high wall, and no one dared to go into it, because it belonged to an enchantress who had great power, dreaded by all the world. One day, the woman was standing by this window and looking down into the garden when she saw a bed, which was planted with the most beautiful rampion, and it looked so fresh and green that she longed for it.
If only I could have even the smallest taste of that beautiful rampion.
What ails you, dear?
If I can't have some of that rampion, which is in the garden behind our house, I shall die.
It would be better if I died myself than to let my darling wife die. I'll bring her some of the rampion myself. Never mind the enchantress. Let it cost what it will.
Only I could have some of the smallest taste of that beautiful rampion.
What ails you again, my darling?
If I can't have some of that magnificent rampion in the garden behind our house, I shall die.
If I'm to have any rest at all, I must once more descend into the garden.
Therefore, in the gloom of the evening, he let himself down again. But when he had clambered down the wall, he was terribly afraid, for he saw the enchantress standing before him.
How can you dare descend into my garden and steal my rampion like a thief? You shall suffer for it.
Let mercy take the place of justice. I only made up my mind to do it out of necessity. My wife saw your rampion from the window and felt such a longing for it that she would have died if she had not gone to eat it.
The enchantress allowed her anger to be softened and decided to strike a deal.
If the case be as you say, I will allow you to take away with you as much rampion as you will. Only, I make one condition. You must give me the child which your wife will bring into the world. It shall be well treated, and I will care for it like a mother.
Have what you wish. Just please spare me and my wife.
The man, in his terror, consented to everything. When the woman was brought to bed, the enchantress appeared at once, gave the child the name of Repunzel, and took it away with her. Rapunzel grew up the most beautiful child under the sun. When she was 12 years old, the enchantress shut her up in a tower in the middle of the forest. The tower had neither stairs nor door, but near the top was a little window. When the enchantress wanted to go in, she placed herself beneath it and cried out to the child.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, lift down your hair to me.
Rapunzel had magnificent long hair, fine as spun gold, and when she heard the voice of the enchantress, she unfastened her braided tresses, wound them round one of the hooks by the window above, and then the hair fell 20 stories down, and the enchantress climbed up by it. After a year or two, it came to pass that the king's son rode through the forest and passed by the tower. Then he heard a song, which was so charming that he stood still and listened. It was Rapunzel, who, in her solitude, passed her time in letting her sweet voice resound. The king's son wanted to climb up to her and looked for the door to the tower, but none was to be found. He rode home, but the singing had so deeply touched his heart that every day he went out into the forest and listened to it. Once, when he was standing thus behind a tree, he saw that an enchantress came there, and he heard how she cried,
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, lift down your hair to
Then Rapunzel let down the braids of her hair, and the enchantress climbed up to her.
If that's the ladder by which one mounts, I too will try my fortune. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me.
Immediately, the hair fell down and the king's son climbed up. At first, Rapunzel was terribly frightened when a man, such as her eyes had never yet beheld, came to her. But the king's son began to talk to her, quite like a friend, and told her that his heart had been so stirred that it had left him no rest, and he had been forced to see her. Then Rapunzel lost her fear, and when he asked her if she would take him for a husband, she saw that he was young and handsome, and she thought to herself,
You would love me more than old Dame Gothel does. I will go willingly away with you, but I do not know how to get down. Bring with you a skein of silk every time you come, and with it I will weave a ladder. And when that is ready, I will descend, and you can take me on your horse, and we will leave this house.
They agreed that until the time he should come to her every evening, for the old woman came by day. The enchantress remarked nothing of how having no knowledge of the axe, until once when Rapunzel slipped up.
Tell me, Dame Gothel, how it happens that you are so much more heavier for me to draw up than the king's son. He is with me in a moment.
Ah, you wicked child! What do I hear you say? I thought I had separated you from all the world, and yet you have deceived me.
In her anger, she clutched Rapunzel's beautiful tresses, wrapped them twice round her left hand, seized a pair of scissors with the right, and snip, snap, they were cut off, and the lovely braids lay on the ground. And she was so pitiless that she took poor Rapunzel into the desert, where she had to live in great grief and misery. On that same day that she cast out Rapunzel, however, the enchantress fastened the braids of hair which she had cut off to the hook on the window. And when the king's son came,
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me.
she let the hair down. The king's son ascended, but instead of finding his dearest Rapunzel, he found the enchantress, who gazed at him with wicked and venomous looks.
Aha! Aha! You would fetch your dearest, but the beautiful bird sits no longer singing in the nest. The cat has got it. And it will scratch your eyes out as well. Rapunzel is lost to you, and you will never see her again.
Dun, dun, dun.